Hello, Sweet Tooth here. I hope your day is going well. Gonna play some more Katawa Shoujo. Gonna pick up where we left off. This is Act 3. Alright, the summertime sun is somewhat a thing to be savored, but when combined with the clean country air, it's all the better. Once again, I'm gonna make sure of something. Okay, yeah, let's go. The track and field club members are horsing around on the field ahead. Some are playing with a soccer ball, others are talking, and a few laugh as two of them mock fight with each other. None of them pay me any heed as I sit alone on the grass underneath the shade of a particularly large tree. It's a nice and peaceful moment after a dreary day of schoolwork. I played soccer pretty often before my heart attack, so I had thought it would be really nostalgic to watch them. What I'm feeling now, though, is quite distinct from that emotion. I hear footsteps approaching from behind me, and I turn to my side to see one of my classmates taking a seat beside me. I'm taken off guard as the two of us haven't talked much before, and I didn't think anyone would notice me here. Sup? Hi, Miara. Wasn't it? Just call me Mickey. Surnames are too stuffy. Likewise, then. We both look back out to the field where the guys are playing. Where are the guys? It's where. Missing the H. It looks like they're getting ready to have a second game, with people spreading out to their positions and the ball being carried to the center of the field. Sure enough, the whistle is blown to begin the match and they get right back into it. Not going to play? Nah, just gonna rest for a bit. What about you? You kinda looked like you wanted to play when you were watching us before. So someone did notice me after all. It's kind of a long story. Her face says that I've piqued her interest. I'm in Yamaku because I've got a heart condition. I can't really play soccer anymore. Wanted to be a soccer player, did you? No, I only really did it for fun. My friends played it, so I played it as well. Any of those guys playing around could have been me before my accident, but I don't feel like I have any real wish to go back to that either. It's a little hard to explain. I'm still decently physically built from the days when I played, even if my strengths largely... Strength? What? Why is that possessive? Largely left me by now, and I got on well with the other club members. When I think about it, I should feel pretty bad watching people play when I can't anymore. Yet I don't. Maybe it's a good thing, a sign that I've gotten over it, and that I'm ready to become a new person. Sorry, I'm kind of rambling. It's cool. I'm actually glad to hear that. It sounds like you really have your stuff together. Some of the people that come to Yamaku are pretty messed up at first. So you're a member of the track and field club, then? Yep, been in it since I first arrived. Don't suppose you're friends with Emmy. Short, fast runner, no legs. I don't think there are all that many male track and field members. Emmy. Everyone knows about her, don't they? But nah, I tend to get on better with guys, so me and Emmy don't really talk much. Anyway, what about you? Oh well, I'm not really in any clubs. Real clubs anyways. You've been hanging around with Hanako and that blonde Amazon though, right? Blonde Amazon. I suppose Lily has the height to fit that description, if nothing else. I nodded in response without making too fine a point of things. Then don't worry about it. As long as you've got some friends, you don't need to join a club. A loud whistling from the field attracts our attention. One of the players is on the ground clutching his leg, and the others stop playing to jog up to him, leaving Mickey grimacing. Ouch, that looks painful. That guy really has bad luck. As she continues to look out onto the field, I can't help being reminded of her own injuries. Her left arm, ending in a stump rather than a hand, has been bandaged up for the entire time I've been in Yamaku, and her injury doesn't seem that new. She turns to talk to me again and catches me looking. Both of us sit in awkward silence as she takes her bandaged arm and holds it in her lap with the other remaining hand. Sorry, I guess I'm still a bit... It's fine, really. Her tone is light, but neither of us say anything afterwards. Every disabled student here has their own way of dealing with their problems, and some finding their conditions troublesome is only natural. I'm included among them, after all. The injured guy from the soccer game manages to get onto his feet with some help and ends up hobbling off the field with one arm over the shoulder of another for support. Probably just pulled a muscle if he can still manage to walk. The whistle blows again and the game continues once more with one less man on the field. Hanging out with Hanako and that blonde girl. You keep some pretty strange company. How so? It's just that Hanako's kind of, I don't know, shy? No, it's not really that. It's just, she's got some issues, I think. I can't really put it in a nice way. Not that I don't think she's a nice person, though. She's perfectly nice. Just hard to deal with. It sounds like Miki, or at least some other people in the class, have tried to get closer to Hanako in the past, and that it didn't go well so much. I think her judgment is rather harsh, given that everyone, not just those in Yamaku, have their own issues. Then again, I haven't known Hanako for that long, so it wouldn't surprise me if there was some stuff I didn't know about. I'll just take it as it comes. She's a nice person, and I think that should be all that matters. Miki's eyes narrow a little, and her smile spreads. You really like her, don't you? Miki certainly doesn't mince words. Dun dun dun. I should go with this one. And it's safe. Admit it. To be completely honest, yeah, I do. I'd appreciate it if you didn't tell anyone. Hey, whoa, you can trust me, no problems here. To be honest, I think it's kind of cute. If you want to go for it, don't let me stop you. Thanks. She may say that, but she was just talking about Hanako having issues. Still, I want to hold myself to the words I said. Hanako's problems don't matter. I'll deal with anything that comes up because I want to help her. If there's even the smallest possibility that I can pull Hanako out of her depression and seclusion, then I should work towards that no matter what. If she needs a prince, then I will be that prince. As I think about the possibility of a relationship, I can see Miki grinning at me while watching my face. I'm no doubt flushing, and looking away from her only makes her laugh. Miki gives off a different vibe from the other girls. Talking to her feels more like talking to a guy than a woman. Her saying she prefers male company doesn't help to dispel that notion either. Glancing at my watch shows that lunch break is ending in only a few minutes. Time to start heading back to class. Lunch is about to end. Want to head back? Yeah, we'd better. I pick myself off the grass and dust myself off, offering a hand to Miki to help her up as well. She takes it and easily pulls herself up, showing the muscles moving in her toned bare arms in the process. Come to think of it, why aren't you wearing the normal girl's blouse? Yeah, it's too hot and constricting. The boy's uniform is better anyway. She throws her arms around a bit to emphasize her point, which has the side effect of showing off one particular part of the body that would be especially constricted by the blouse. The two of us start to walk back to the main building through the gardens, talking as we go. It sounds like you're settling in well. That's a relief. It was pretty surprising to get a transfer student at this point in the year, considering the exams are coming up. Don't remind me. Don't worry about them. Just cram it and you'll be fine. It doesn't sound like good advice. She claps my shoulder a couple of times as she grins. I don't think she takes school very seriously. You seem like a smart guy, and Mikael's taken to you well already. You're like a hand in a glove. Now to work out whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. I still don't know what to make of the school. I've been here a few weeks already, but I still feel dazed at times. You'll get used to it. Just give it some time. It's only a high school, just like any other. She makes it sound so simple, but I've never thought about it that way. To me, Yamaku symbolized a marked shift in my life. I was no longer normal. I was different and was to be educated with other different people. And and yet I'm walking back to class and talking casually with a classmate during lunch after watching some others play a soccer game. All perfectly normal. Maybe she has a point. Maybe I should just look at Hanako in the same way. Everyone has their own issues. This is hardly something unique to Yamakua. After all, it's only a high school, just like any other. As we continue to talk, I find myself smiling. Mickey and I are very different people in almost every way, but it feels good to have gotten to know another classmate a bit better. And Mickey just came out of nowhere. A light breeze blows the scent of early summer around my head while I wait for Lily. Small white clouds litter the sky, breaking up the monotony of the blue. Isao, are you here? Lily's voice lilts on the breeze as if they were one and the same thing. I stop gazing into the sky to examine Lily. Whoops. With a peach off-the-shoulder sweater and an ankle-length skirt, in addition to tan sandals, she's quite a nice sight. Yeah, I'm over here, Lily, near the gate. How does she know how to dress so well by being blind? So interesting thing. Were you able to sneak away from Hanako? Yes, it's not uncommon for me to go out during weekends, so I don't think she's noticed anything suspicious. That, and she has someone she sees. Lily purses her lips as if maybe she shouldn't have continued. I find it a little hard to believe. Hanako's seeing someone. Really? No, it's just, she sees a therapist every so often on the weekends. Oh, well, that does make a lot of sense to something. Lily rubs her arm uncomfortably, and after one look at her troubled expression, quickly moves to change the topic away from Hanako. Yes? I was just wondering, you can get around the city on your own? Lily sighs at my consternation? What the heck? Surrounding the topic of her blindness. I'm my own worst enemy sometimes. I can, yes. It's easier when I'm out with a friend or my sister, though. I wonder how Lily gets along with her sister. Being an only child, it's hard to imagine what having a sibling would be like. So it makes me a little envious of her. Right. Well then, the bus arrives in a few minutes, so we should probably get a move on. Indeed. It's a long wait if we miss this one. With that, we set off for the bus stop on the hill. It's only a small distance from the school gate, so it's very convenient. It's a nice view from here. Coming from the city, I never really got to see scenery like this, let alone on a daily basis. This area is nice for me as well. It's tranquil, and away from the noises and smells of the city. Lily's head perks up in a trademark gesture of hers, signifying that she's caught a sound. Oh, here comes the bus. I look down the road to see the bus trundling up the hill. Her hearing's quite useful, too. The bus only takes a short while to reach the bus stop, forcing its way up the road, and within a minute we are on our way to the city. Walking around the city, I feel a distinct nostalgia. The smells, the traffic, the tall buildings everywhere. It's a lot like my native city, save for the raised walkways. It feels a little weird, walking around the city as casually as I would in a park, but with cars rushing around underneath me. As I'm busily pondering the engineering marvel that is the raised walkway, I get a surprise. It takes a moment for me to realize that Lily has wrapped her arm around mine, swinging her chin in front of her with her other hand. For a moment I'm startled, but I managed to keep enough of a lid on it for Lily not to notice. While it's not the first time that Lily relied on me for guidance, she'd only held on to my sleeve's cuff before. It's logical that it would be easier for her to navigate a crowded, complex area such as the city while securely linked. But I'm far from being as used to this kind of contact as Lily is. Get over it. Finally realizing the growing silence between us as Lily waits for me to get moving, I quickly kick my brain into gear. You know, it was quite a surprise that Hanako likes to sing. Have you ever heard her do that before? I have indeed. We've been to karaoke sessions several times along with my sister. I can't say I take to the activity much, but the other two like it. Maybe Hanako doing karaoke is more fitting than I initially thought. Just her and those she knows, all alone in the little room. It would give her a rare chance to let her guard down, with nobody else there to judge her. Maybe it would be nice to bring her into town for a karaoke birthday party if she likes doing it. I'm not sure she would deal very well with the excitement. I move to protest, but her face shows that she's mulling the proposal over some more. It takes quite some time for her to come to a conclusion. Then again, the best thing we can do for Hanako at this point is to try to create some pleasant birthday memories. Continually treating her as if she's abnormal won't help. I think you're right. If she has something to remember apart from loss, then maybe she'll come around. If we brought her something nice that she could see every day, then maybe she'd be able to take her mind off her past and remember that she has friends. In any case, I think Hanako can handle something like this. In the time I've spent beside her, I've learned that she isn't quite as frightfully fragile as I first thought she was. So shall we be off? I'm not really sure about the layout of this area. Very well. I might like to suggest having something to eat first. I haven't either, so that sounds like a good plan. Make sure you choose a nice place, Sal. She gives a teasing smile, one that makes me smile reflexively in response, even if she can't see that. I'll make very sure I do, don't worry about that. Once inside, I order 2 slices of pie and accompanying cups of tea and take them back to our table. I'd pick this cafe as the type to appeal to Lily, small and quiet, but well kept and somewhat upscale. Going by the dainty smile she wears, I don't really know if I chose right. It's very, very rare to not see her smiling after all. Nevertheless, I take a seat near her at one of the corner tables and lay down our small meals. Lily gingerly brings her head over the slice of pie placed in front of her, delicately taking in the aroma. Lemon pie, is it? Thank you, Sal. No problem. The tea's just next to it, so be careful not to knock it over. She nods appreciatively, but judging from the slightly weak smile she has, the warning wasn't really necessary. I suppose the sound must have tipped her off into its position. We both tuck into our food without further ado, both of us remaining largely silent as we do so. Lily isn't the type to appreciate discussion while eating, and I can't say I like it either. Eventually, we finish both our meals, and the last of our teacups follows in short order. Lily's the first to break the silence. That was very nice. I must say you've chosen quite well, Sal. This is the first time I've really had much of a look around the city, so all I could really do is choose somewhere that looked nice. Sorry. I feel really bad for inadvertently bringing up the subject of sight around Lily, but she doesn't appear to mind much. Quite the opposite. She almost looks amused by my awkward attempt at an apology. You are thoughtful, Sal. But sometimes I fear that it gets the better of you. There's no need to change the subject on my account. Lily truly is pretty comfortable in dealing with her condition. I still hasten to change the subject, as I can't really say that I share her confidence in the matter. Have you lived here for very long? It seems like you have this place pretty much sorted out. She quickly waves her hand in front of her face to dismiss the notion. It's nothing like that. I've attended Yamaku since the start of high school, but I didn't want to walk around the city very much because of Akira, my sister, picked me up and dropped me off. Oh, right. You mentioned not living in the dormitories until recently. It's quite a surprise. I just assumed she'd been living here since entering Yamaku at the least, which would give her a few years here. I've lived with my family for most of my life. Then I was just together with my sister. With my family having moved to Inverness long ago, and Akira working longer hours, I ended up having to move. Inverness? Isn't it somewhere in Scotland? Oh, did I not tell you? My family currently lives in Scotland, the birthplace of my mother. My father's side is mainly Japanese, though. Huh. Question of what gave Lily her looks did cross my mind every now and again. But I never thought to ask. That answers that, then. To be honest, I'd never have guessed. Considering you have no accent, I'm guessing you were born here? Born there or here? I can't remember what that was. Wait, I can look at the notes. You were born here. There we go. Full mark. I am thankful for my heritage, though as without it I'd likely have not been taught English so early in my life. What of you, Asao? What about me? She gives it a moment's thought. You probably should have thought of what to ask me before switching the topic. I'll go with, what are your plans for the future? To be honest, I haven't thought much about that recently. After my accident and subsequent months in hospital, enjoying my life here with you and Hanako has been enough for me. In fact, I don't think I've thought at all about a future for some time now. It seems almost futile. This is your last year of school. After this, you will have to fend for yourself one way or the other. It's not like I don't know that. I just haven't put much thought into it since then. She opens her mouth to continue, but gives a small sigh instead. She seems to have realized that she really doesn't know enough about my situation to go too deeply into this. Well, we all have our own pace. I just hope you'll take any chance you see. I understand. I'll think about it. As we walk back out into the city, Lily takes hold of my arm once again. So, did you get any good ideas for a present? To be honest, no, I've never been very good at picking them. As absurd as it sounds, perhaps we should just look around. Hearing Lily utter those words throws me for a moment. Right. How do we do that? That's just the reaction I was expecting. It's simple. You can go window shopping and just tell me what is around. If something interesting comes up, then we might get an idea. Right, I'm still not sure of this, but I'll take your word for it. I think we'll manage. Hanako, my sister, and I managed to do it well enough. With Lily's simplistic and rather optimistic statement, we set off into the shopping district of the city, and I start describing everything I see to Lily. It's hard to think of Hanako going window shopping. She doesn't feel like the type to place much stock in fashion, nor have I noticed her reading magazines or the like. In fact, all I think I've really seen her do as a hobby is read books. There's a houseware shop just ahead. Looks like it's mostly crockery, though. I can't think that she'd have much of a need for that. What type of message would that send to her? Cook more food? Not such a bad idea, maybe. Sometimes it's best to leave these things alone, Hisao. Once again, I get the feeling that Hanako's exploits in the kitchen are always successful. Lily must have had to help her with that sometimes. Let's see. Next along is a bookshop. It seems like a good one. She's always reading. Yes. But there are a few problems with books. I'm not quite sure what she has and hasn't read. What about a gift card, then? There's nothing as impersonal as giving someone a gift card. It's like saying, I don't know enough about you to work out what you'd like. I always thought of it as making sure they got what they wanted. Giving people gifts is supposed to show them the level of affection you have for them. If you can't decide on a simple gift for them, then how much could you think of them? Right, no gift cards. Lily seems overly passionate about this, but I can see her point. If you're going to get something for someone, then you should put at least some thought into it. If I want to get something for Hanako that reminds her of us every day, then what good is a gift card? In that case, what did you get Hanako last year? A porcelain doll. I thought that if she had someone to talk to, it might help her ease her pain. A doll isn't ever going to criticize her after all. So should I go be looking for a doll shop? If you could be so kind to keep a lookout for one, I would be grateful. Sounds good to me, though I wish you had mentioned it earlier. But if I did that, then you wouldn't have started thinking for yourself, would you? Once again, Lily has a point. My brain is currently analyzing every store we pass for a gift option. If Lily had mentioned a doll shop to begin with, I wouldn't have thought of anything else. We wander through the city streets, but seem unable to find anything that resembles a doll shop or anything I can consider as fitting present. The simple act of searching is starting to clear my head. The events of last week are starting to fade away, and I'm looking forward to giving Hanako her gift. If I can find one, that is. This is hopeless. I thought we'd be able to find something in the city for sure, and I'm sure we walked down the street at least once before. That almost sounds like you're giving up, Isao. I'm not, but it's a lot harder than I thought. Try not to be so restricted in your thinking. Maybe we should actually go into some shops and have a look around. That might work. I've never really been any good at window shopping. Lily and I circle around the city streets once more, this time popping into stores that catch our attention. In the end, though, nothing comes up as especially appropriate. Hanako's tastes are often quite hard to pin down at the best of times, thanks to her intensely private nature, and those tastes we do know are hard to accommodate. May we take a break for a minute? I'm a bit exhausted. I agree and leave Lily to rest against the railing while I go to get a couple of drinks from a nearby vending machine. After walking up to the vending machine and grabbing myself some lemonade, I find myself at a bit of a loss. Not really knowing Lily's taste, I decide to take a guess and grab something that seems a little girly, but not too weird. Strawberry-flavored milk. Back. I walk up to her and place the carton into her outstretched hands, making sure she has a grip on it before letting go. She feels out its contours before opening it and taking a very tentative sip, her improving smile afterward telling me I made the right choice. We both rest and have a quiet drink for a few minutes. A familiar soft ringing begins to sound from Lily's side. She quickly apologizes and her hand goes into her pocket, pulling out her mobile phone. Do you mind if I take this? It's fine, don't worry. She nods to me and thanks before turning away and flipping the phone open, bringing it to the side of her face as she picks up the call. Going by the tone of Lily's voice, the person on the other end is no doubt some friend or another. I tune out of their conversation pretty quickly, as the snippets that Lily says make it sound like little more than gossip. Without much else to do, I find myself watching Lily. She really is a pretty girl, which would hardly hurt her popularity in school. It's interesting just how much Hanako and Lily contrast with each other in both personality and appearance. You've already said that 3 times. For a few minutes, I just lean back and drink watching her. Before long, Lily says her goodbyes to the person she's talking to and hangs up, placing her phone back into her pocket and leaning against the railing as before. Sorry, just a friend from class. I take one final swig from my can before throwing it into the bin. Lily gives me her carton to throw away soon after, finishing it off relatively quickly. You seem to have a lot of friends. Oh? Lily waits for me to continue, her interest piqued. I was just thinking that you and Hanako contrast really heavily. It's hard to imagine Hanako doing a lot of the things you do, or knowing the people you know. You seem to think about Hanako quite a bit. I don't know, it's just, she's mysterious, I guess. I kind of want to know more about her, which isn't that easy. It almost sounds like you're doubting your relationship to her. I don't think it's that. I just want to do more for her, being her friend and all. I don't really know how she sees me. This statement seems to interest Lily quite a bit. I wonder if Hanako said anything about me to Lily during their conversations. I'm about to ask what's on her mind as she picks herself up from the railing. Shall we be off then? Her voice and expression show that she's playing games with me. Lily knows damn well that she's leaving me hanging. But with a sigh, I pick myself up off the railing as well and have a brief look around. We have stuff to do, so I'll just try and get back to her about this later. Tucked in between a newsstand and a convenience store is a small shop. Above the door reads Othello's Antiques in decorative English script. It would be easy to miss if we were... Ooh, boy, so much reading. Whew. And let's go again. Walking along the street, but since we're stationary and I'm purposefully looking around, it's just noticeable. Say, Lily, that doll you got Hanako, was it new? Well, yes, but I'm not quite sure I know what you mean. I think I found our shop. It's across the road. Oh, what is it? Some kind of toy shop? It's an antique shop. I think it's probably going to be our best bet. Really? I don't know we even had one of those near here. Neither did I. I missed it the first time we went by here. It's pretty well hidden. Well then, you can't hurt to check. Inspired by this new find, we quickly dust ourselves off and head towards the store, Lily's hand finding its way to my elbow for guidance. The store has a strange musky scent to it. The layout is more like a garage than a store. Things are strewn around the floor without any immediate semblance of order. Whoa! The shopkeeper gives us an almost bored look through his particularly small eyes. You can't really say through either. You should say with his particularly small eyes. His face looks weary and tired, and his dress style is distinctly anachronistic. He gives us a polite nod of welcome before going back to his book. Lily holds tightly onto my arm, and I find myself having to split my efforts between making sure we don't miss a potential gift for Hanako and making sure Lily doesn't inadvertently bump into anything. The task is quite difficult given the haphazard way the store is laid out, and the many things poking out of the shelves they're on or sitting on pieces of furniture. But eventually we safely arrive at an old desk covered in dolls and teddy bears. I think this is the right place. There's pretty much every kind of doll you could imagine here. That should make the choice much simpler. Could you please pick one for me, Hasao? I had a feeling that it would come to this. I picture Hanako in my mind and try to imagine which of the dolls before me would suit her the best. My eyes wander across the collection. Each one is as exquisite as the one before it. The sheer number of styles is boggling, but eventually one catches my eye. Here, what about this one? I pick up a small porcelain doll that looks to be at least somewhat affordable. Dressed in a Victorian-era green dress with a little brown hat, sitting atop its blonde hair, it looks a little like Lily. So much reading. I gently pass it to her, who delicately feels her way around the object while wearing a look of slight concentration. It certainly feels beautiful. Do you think it would suit Hanako in your opinion? I think it would. It could look good in her room. In that case, I'll trust your judgment. Will you be getting her something as well, or shall this be a shared gift? I'm not sure. I think I should get her something myself, but I don't think getting her another doll is such a great idea. Maybe. I let my voice trail off as I look around the shop. Resting on a writing table not far from us is a decorative box that catches my eye. Right here. I think I found something. My, that was fast. I gingerly walk through a collection of crystal glassware and pick up the box. The wooden sides are covered in carvings depicting ancient battles around the castle. The top, however, looks far too familiar. Alternating squares of white and black varnished wood are arranged on the lid. That's a really nice item. It's a chess set from overseas. The store owner's sudden appearance startled me a little. I didn't see him approaching at all. He said I suppose he's trying to help us because we don't really look like we know what we're looking for. Or on the other hand, maybe he wants to keep an eye on us because he suspects we might shoplift instead. I'm looking for a present for a friend. I see. In that case, this chess set would make a fine choice. Realization floods into my mind. This is a pretty good looking set, but this is an antique shop. They're not well known for their bargain prices. How old is this? This is a reproduction. My best estimate is that it's about 5 years old. I see. How much? 5 years old makes something antique? That's it? He thinks a little before telling me, which is slightly disconcerting. I'll let you take this now for 7,000 yen. I balk a little. I wasn't expecting to spend that much, but this does seem perfect. Then again, maybe that's a testament to how well he worked out how much he could make me pay. Couldn't make it 5,000? 5,500, no lower. I'm sold. Oh, we'd also like to get that doll. The store owner looks over my shoulder, focusing on Lily and a doll in her hand. His eyes narrow, and he visibly takes a moment to switch mental gears. In the process, his smile drops slightly. Ah, I guess that means that not everything in this store is a reproduction. Are you quite sure you want that you want that doll, miss? I trust my friend's judgment. I see. Oh, no offense. None taken. If you could please wrap it for me, it would be appreciated. Yes, of course. But it is 20,000 yen. Lily reaches into her purse and presents 4 crisp-looking 5,000 yen notes. Here you are. 20,000 yen. Whoa! The storekeep dutifully takes them in the doll and proceeds to the counter. I take Lily's arm to guide her there. Are you sure about this? It's okay. I have the funds I need. As I said, I trust your judgment. I feel a little guilty on 2 fronts. Firstly, because Lily has just spent a lot of money on my recommendation. Secondly, because I have a feeling the value of my gift isn't high enough. Nevertheless, Lily does seem to get somewhat awkward whenever the mention of money comes about. I hand the shopkeeper my present and the money up for it in return. He puts the cash into the register before busying himself with wrapping the doll and repeating the process on the chessboard. Eventually, he finishes the gift wrapping and hands us both our presents. Please be careful on your way back, and do come again. Thanks. Indeed. Thank you very much. The store owner bows deeply to us as we leave. Well, it did take us all day, but we found something in the end. Yeah, we did. Now that the presents are wrapped, I'm feeling a little impatient to give them to Hanako. It's a common reaction to buying gifts, wanting to see the reaction of the receiver as they discover what it is. And part of me wants to return to Hanako just to confirm her condition with my own eyes. So should we head back? Let's. We've done a lot of walking today, so I shan't mind taking a rest back at the dormitories. Lily's right. Now that the need to find the shop is over, my legs are feeling quite tired. Well then, back to the school for us. I'm looking forward to resting for a bit too. Lily holds out her arm, and I link mine with hers. Together we make our way back to the bus stop. So much reading. Mutao reads equations and formulas to us one by one, in his usual unenthusiastic monotone, directly from the book. It's possible that he might be excited about what he teaches us. Sometimes he can display an awkward spark of passion for it, as if he's trying to get into the material. He's trying to get the students excited, that's why. Most days, however, are like this one. full recovering is fairly simple, so I find it increasingly difficult to keep my concentration on him. It's not too long until my legs begin aching again, which only makes it even harder. I'm almost starting to regret walking around the city yesterday with Lily. Since leaving the hospital, I've done very little physical exertion. Walking to and from the local corner store hardly counts. Despite Emi's attempts when I first arrived in Yamaku, I've largely given up on the idea of ever returning to my old level of fitness. I have little doubt that's why walking around town for so many hours has made me quite so sore. It's depressing, and it reminds me of one more thing I can't do since I had my heart attack. It makes me feel pathetic. Now, Ikuozawa? It's odd for Mitao to ask Hanako that is her last name? Or first name? A question, but not unheard of. She quickly jumps to her feet, a little startled, and immediately pins her eyes onto him. She knows that Mitao calling on her is rare, so all eyes in the classroom are going to be on her. This way she doesn't run the risk of making eye contact with anyone else. Yes? In this particular example of a redox reaction, the combustion to methane reaction actually produces one more product than is listed. That product is... Even though it's a softball question, she timidly waits a bit before answering, biting down slightly on her lower lip as if to keep her concentration. Heat? Well done. This is an exothermic reaction, with the reaction giving more heat than is put into it. Receiving a nod from Mitao, Hanako takes her seat once again and gives a relieved sigh. A shaky start, but it's something. It'll be nice to take her out for her birthday, somewhere different from the usual isolation of her room and the tea room. With the progress she's made until now, I don't think she'll have much of a problem going to the city. Right then, for the remainder of this class, I'd like you to work in groups of 3 or 4 on the problems in Chapter 12. I'll be here if you need me. Mitao sits down behind her desk, pulls some loose sheets out of a folder, and starts on some kind of paperwork of his own. I thought teachers were supposed to do that kind of thing after class, not during. Regardless, I looked to my right to pick out someone to form a group with. Given the 2 smiling faces hovering near mine, I don't think I'm going to get much say in the matter. I suppose we have a group then. Pete-chan, you want to work together? Okay, that's great. It's really been a while. Class begins the process of noisily shuffling. Are you going to really sit down like that? Are you going to sit down like that? These are standing picks. You can't just push them down and say this is how they sit. Nobody sits with their hands on their hips. Nobody sits with their hands behind their back. Not unless you're in some curious position. Anyways, the class begins the process of noisily shuffling the desk around, with Shaizun doing the same as she puts hers in front of mine. She's a little lucky to not be able to hear the din of the classroom, which is loud enough to cause some discomfort. Truth be told, working with Shaizun and Misha is probably a good outcome. Shaizun and I are pretty good at this subject, and Misha has really nice handwriting. As I look at Misha, I notice a tall figure behind her. The shadow catches Misha's attention as well, and she turns to face the dark-haired observer. Good afternoon, Hanako. Hello. Shaizun finally notices Hanako after looking up and following the gazes of Misha and I. In quick measure, she taps Misha on the shoulder to get her attention before signing away. Chi-chan says, if you're looking for a group, you can join ours. Hanako looks down and blushes a little at the offer. Out of all the people in the class, Hanako's most familiar with the 3 of us, so it's reasonable that she'd come to us first. Then again, her actually coming up to a group with the intention of joining them is something she apparently very rarely did before. Or actually be nice to her. She leaves briefly to drag her desk over, and Shizune and Misha wheel back to me as soon as her back is turned. I guess we get to play again, Hichan. You hardly ever play with us anymore. I wonder why. You two always seem to have some ulterior motive. That hurt, Hichan. I'd almost think you were insulting me. But it's Hichan, so I know that you're joking. Such a great sense of humor about it. It'd be awful if someone were to take advantage of your good nature, like making you help them with their work. Shizune seems excited for a second, a little surprised that I'm willing to challenge her. But when she sees Hanako coming back, she backs off with a smile. I guess the mind games are over early today. Hanako gently sets down her desk in front of Misha's. Her eyes are locked downwards, and I'm left wondering why until I look around the class. Most are busy setting up their own groups, but a few are casting curious glances at her. At this range, it's hard to tell whether this is where their interest in her ends or if they are talking about her as well. It's strange. No one bats an eyelid when Hanako runs out of class to avoid group work, but now that she's making an effort, they're staring at her as if she's done something wrong. We all move to sort ourselves out, spreading out our textbooks and worksheets around the largest surface created by the 4 joined desks. It isn't long before the class as a whole gets down to work. Hi Hanako, it's nice to finally work with you. Yeah. Are you the reason Hichan has been avoiding us lately? Hichan says it's a little rude, but if Hichan wants to spend time with a cute girl, it's understandable. I don't think it's like that. Hanako starts to fidget, unused to this kind of attention. I think that an ordinary person would drop the conversation by now, but Misha is like the antithesis of Hanako. Part of that includes being blind to ordinary social cues, while Hanako is overly sensitive to them. Because of that, Misha barrels ahead with the questions too quickly for me to get a chance to interject and guide the discussion somewhere more comfortable. Really? So, he wasn't hanging out with you yesterday? No. I could feel my cover being blown already. Lily didn't want Hanako to know that we were out buying presents for her, let alone planning out her birthday party. It wouldn't be good for her to find out. Yeah, I was doing something else. You know how it is. Really? I wonder what's so important for Hichan to blow us off like that. If it wasn't to spend time with Hanako, then what could it be? It's really interesting. Now this is starting to feel like an interrogation. I'm surprised at how Misha is able to exert such a feeling of pressure without actually intending to. Were you with Lily? Out of nowhere, Hanako manages to stumble on the answer. She may be dreadfully quiet and shy, but she's very intuitive. What makes you say that? Yesterday, Lily said something similar. Suspicious. Hichan, I demand that you explain yourself. Hey, shouldn't we be doing the assignment? But it's so mysterious. Even Hanako wants to know. Whoops. I turn to look at Hanako. It's true. From the expression on her face, it's obvious that she wants to know as well, and I think we're past the point where I could weasel out of having to provide an explanation. I apologize to Lily in mind. She really did want to keep it a secret, but now it doesn't seem possible anymore. I feel a rush of conflicting emotions, so jumbled that I can't readily identify them, but they crash around in my head as I try to calm down and speaking. Alright, I'll tell you, I went into town with Lily, but it isn't what you think. Lily and I were, for Hanako's birthday, the cat is out of the bag, but it looks like Hanako's taking it a little better than I thought she would. A brief silence passes around our little group as Shizune and Misha look at each other sheepishly. I can tell that they didn't expect their game to turn out like this. Misha looks up to Hanako in order to apologize, then pauses. Hanako is staring at the middle of her desk and barely moving, a maudlin expression on her face. I guess I was wrong about her taking it well. Hanako? I'm sorry. There's a few seconds pause, but Hanako lifts and shakes her head. If it's okay. Her expression looks odd, like she's very tired. It doesn't seem natural, but it's nothing alarming. Nobody really wants to continue with the current conversation, so we open our textbooks and begin our group work. This is pretty dull. While the equations we're supposed to work out as a group will take a while, most of it is going to be boringly mechanical. It also doesn't help that while that didn't go as bad as it could have, it has left an awkward atmosphere around us. Still, we manage. Shizune's face betrays that she has about the same expectations of our work as I do, and the two of us begin to write our group's results. Misha, on the other hand, is scrunching up her lips and very visibly trying to make heads or tails of what we're doing. Hanako is looking on quietly, absorbing what we write and what I say. She usually has the same expression when the teacher speaks. It's a shame her attendance is so unreliable. With the way she takes in information, I think she'd do quite well in class if she actually followed the lessons regularly. I wonder if this might be why Shizune seems so hard on her. Hey Hanako, do you understand this? Misha looks to Hanako, but I suspect her hope is more to find a comrade in ignorance rather than genuine help. Not really. I get, yes. I'm surprised by how tense she is in answering, but she settles back down. She breathes out, and the way her upper body and head lower reminds me of a deflating balloon. You okay? I could go over this a bit if you want. Hanako shakes her head slightly, but then again I don't think she needs the extra explanation despite what she said. Misha quickly interjects, entirely oblivious, and I end up slowly going through how we ended up at one of our results step by step. Times like this remind me that this kind of work may not be mechanical for everyone, but rather feels that way to me due to my grasp of the subject. It's a satisfying feeling. As Misha brings her balled fist into an open hand in realization, I discover another nicely feeling. My explanation got through to her, and she manages to work out the next equation by herself with a minimum of guidance. Throughout all of this, Hanako is unusually unresponsive. She's normally very quiet, but one can still see her eyes moving periodically over the landscape of the classroom in front of her, or anxiously moving her hands in some way, or shifting her shoulders periodically. Right now, these small movements that I've gotten used to seeing are all missing. Someone not moving at all is definitely weird. Even Misha can tell there's something wrong. Hanako, are you sure you're okay? Yes. Are you sure? I'm fine. A little more strongly this time, but she turns away as she says it. It only makes me doubt her answer, yet at the same time I can tell she doesn't want to talk about it further. Having already had one very awkward conversation today, and that I'm still not fully over, I don't want to pursue the matter too much either. We settle back into our routine, debating over our answers whenever a doubt comes up, but as time goes on, I notice that Hanako isn't talking at all. It's frustrating. She has made so much progress. It makes me a little angry at Shizune and Misha for undoing the surprise Lillian had wanted to keep secret so much. I know I'm at fault too. Maybe I could have kept it under wraps somehow. Shizune has noticed Hanako's silence as well and is getting antsy. I can see it on her face. It's strange that even though she's deaf, Shizune has perceived Hanako's unusual quietness sooner than Misha. Hanako, you're being too quiet. You have to contribute too. Someday we might work on a bigger project, like one that's so big it's worth celebrating afterwards, like with ice cream or cake. If you act like this, we won't take you along. I can tell that they're trying to tease her to bring her out of her shell, but I don't think that that kind of approach will work on Hanako. It will just make her feel worse. Guys, don't tease her like that. He-chan, it's all in good fun. She-chan says she teases everyone anyway. They do back off though, with Misha moving away from the issue by asking me a question again. On seeing how difficult the problem she is working on is, I don't know whether it was a skillful dodge or mere coincidence. It takes way more of our time than necessary because Shaizun keeps disagreeing with me while I try to explain it to Misha, and Misha is quick to believe her over me. So quick, in fact, that she forgets to translate what Shaizun is saying. Hey, the clock is kind of ticking down. We should speed up a little. He-chan, you sound a little like She-chan there. Just because I looked at my watch? Geez, is that really all it takes? Time management, and suddenly I'm at the student council president? I look at Hanako's desk to see how she's doing, and freeze. Our papers are covered in equations, but Hanako's only halfway there. It seems like she hasn't written anything in the past 20 minutes. When I realize that, I want to kick myself for how dumb I've been. I should have known that someone as fragile as Hanako wasn't just going to brush off what happened so easily, but I've been too eager to move on from an awkward situation to notice. She has been slowly shutting down for the last half hour, and I had no clue. Her pen is still in her hand, but she doesn't slowly spin it around like she usually does. There isn't a single idle movement from Hanako. Only the fact that she tries to inch away once she feels Shaizun, Misha, and me looking at her tells me that she is even still conscious. We look away, and at least in my case, it's partly out of shame that it's gotten to this point. Though on the outside she has shut down almost completely, I know that it's a different story on the inside. What kinds of things could she be thinking about as she tries harder and harder to shrink into herself, as if by willing it, she could somehow disappear? Everyone is looking at her, now, stealing quick glances in between, putting the finishing touches on their work. Misha attempts to ask her what's wrong, but it's only making the problem worse. If she weren't frozen to her seat, she would probably run out of the room right now. Misha's questions are loud enough to be heard throughout the entire classroom, and for a second I'm ready to snap at her, because I can only imagine how worse it's making Hanako feel. Of course, if I were to do that, it would only make the situation worse. I'd believe that Hanako had gotten stronger, and she has. But it wasn't enough, and I was too eager to believe it. Now she's terrified, alone in the middle of the classroom, and there's nothing I can do without drawing more attention to her. It's infuriating. Misha's worried, and even Shaizun is biting her lip. None of us know how to deal with this situation, so I decide to call Mitao. His judgment would probably be better than ours. I look up and manage to catch his eye, silently motioning for him to come over. I want to make as little a fuss about this as possible, since if there's anything that would make this worse, it's more attention being focused on her. I know that Hanako can see everyone staring at our group, specifically at her, because they know that if there's a problem, it has to be her. Everyone knows her, and it's the first thing anyone's mind would lead to. Her reputation for being a truant has marked her as an unusual person, even an unusual Yamaku. Who knows how many times they have stared at her before? Maybe it's because she's seen the class staring at her so much that she fears their gazes like she does, cowering from them. The time it takes Mitao to walk over must be like an eternity to Hanako, and she looks as if she is about to fall over. Mitao quietly begins to ask us what's wrong, before catching himself as he sees Hanako. Did we upset her? Don't worry. Tao bends down after calming Misha and looks intently at Hanako's face. Hi, Akawazawa. Can I help you at all? His voice is hushed and gentle. Everyone's acting so differently around Hanako now that the whole class has noticed something's wrong with her. Hanako doesn't respond, so Mitao gently rests a hand on her shoulder. She starts shaking at his touch, but won't even look up. Hanako continues to stare into the equations on her desk, vision so unfocused that I doubt she even sees them. She is even worse than before. I remembered that not even an hour ago she was able to talk to him almost normally. Mateo grimaces a bit as he stands again, and now that his expression's changed, I can see he wasn't exactly unaffected by what happened either. He takes a breath to settle himself before speaking in a very quiet voice. I'm a little impressed at how quickly he takes control of the situation. Is that it? Nothing wrong then? Mateo seems to say that to no one in particular. However, his words sound convincing enough that most of the people who were looking over at Hanako would turn away, getting back to their work. He gives a quick glance to his left and right. Several people at the desk around us are still staring curiously, but other than that, we seem to escape, attracting too much attention. Mateo notices me doing the same as him and smiles a little in his usual stilted way. I think for Ikuzawa's sake, that it would be good to quickly take her somewhere away from others. Nakai, Takamichi, could you please take Ikuzawa out of the classroom? I'll keep everyone settled, so please don't worry about anything but her, okay? He looks at Misha to tell her to interpret his words for Shizune, but she's already finishing her translation by the time he does so. It's remarkable how little thought she needs to sign, and she still looks quite dazed otherwise. Nodding, Shizune and I stand and move to either side of Hanako. Mutao steps back to allow us some room and talks to the table behind us as some people there have begun to mutter between themselves about what's going on. We look at each other before lowering ourselves in unison, taking one arm around each of our shoulders and lifting. The two of us begin to walk at a slow pace to make sure we don't inadvertently hurt her. As much as we try to make this look normal, I'm quite sure there would be many more gazes on us if not for Matao's distraction. Eventually, thankfully, we reach the door and go through. Nobody's outside, so we walk down the hallway. It doesn't seem like it's making her more at ease than she was in the classroom. Finally, I ask if she wants to just sit down. For a while, we simply stay in place and wait for her to say something. Shizune tentatively rubs Hanako's shoulder a little, but there's no response. Eventually, she shakes her head a little when Shizune tries again. Both of us are looking at her, so we pick up on it immediately. Shizune's hand again comes to a rest on Hanako's shoulder as she awakens, her face lifting to two very worried and anxious people looking at her. She looks at us silently for a while. I'm initially worried she might freak out or do something extreme, but those fears prove unwarranted as her expression slowly changes from an almost lifeless blank slate to a more normal withdrawn shyness. She wordlessly lowers her head, her eyes evasively moving to the side. She looks embarrassed, almost ashamed. I want to say something, anything to help. I can't, though. I don't really know what just happened, or even what caused it. I feel helpless and ashamed of myself for not being of any use. Shizune sighs before looking at me. Even without words, I think I can tell what she's asking. I'll take Hanako to the nurse. Is that okay by you? I try to communicate my intentions through hand gestures, but I don't feel like I managed to get through to her very well. Shizune makes a dreary face in response to my gesticulations, confirming my impression. She stabs her finger in the air decisively, first at me, then at Hanako, and then towards the stairs. She waits for me to nod before pointing at herself and pointing at the door to the classroom. I get the feeling Shizune is much better at this than I am. I nod at her, since her plan is, after all, the same as mine. Shizune gets ready to make her exit, but she only leaves after looking at Hanako for quite some time. Are you okay with me taking you to the nurse's office? Hanako doesn't say anything or nod, but she stands up in a place by herself, and when I begin to walk, She obediently follows. I've read about people being catatonic before, but I think this time I'm seeing it for myself. She looks extremely tired. After everything that's happened, it's not a surprise. After Hanako silently takes off her shoes and lies on the bed in the infirmary, the nurse and I take our leave. He shuts the curtain behind us, we both take a seat, and I quietly and thoroughly go through everything that happened in quite some detail. I want to understand what happened, and the nurse has as good a chance as anyone of knowing. He nods throughout my explanation, his face looking troubled as I finish. It must have been very troubling for you to have seen all this. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't. I get that she fainted, but I don't really understand anything about why it happened or why she's acting like this. He nods, but his face is clouded. You don't know either? Well, yes and no. It's complicated. I assume you've heard about the concept of patient confidentiality at some point. This is a bit of a minefield in that respect. I'm going to put this pretty bluntly. This is a matter for Ikuzawa, me, and her therapist. I move to protest, but think better of it. I want to deny what he says, but if I think this through rationally, what he says makes perfect sense. I understand. Good. I wish I could help you more, but I think what Ikuzawa needs right now isn't somebody prying into her past or her emotions. She just needs someone to be there for her. She needs a friend. For what it's worth, I think you've done well in bringing her here. Sounds like you and your friends dealt with the situation well, too. I'd give you a lollipop or a sticker as a reward, but you might be a little too old for her either. He gives a cocky grin, obviously trying his best to lighten the atmosphere. I'm not really in a laughing mood, but he does manage to get a smile out of me. Thanks. Do you mind if I stay here with Hanako? I appreciate the thought, but I think it would be better to let her rest for now. She'll be let back to her dormitory room this evening, so you could visit her then. I agree with him before standing. It feels like all I can ever do around the nurse is humbly agree to what he says. But it was the same with the doctors in the hospital, too. The walk back to the classroom is a long one. My mind is feeling heavy under the weight of so many things happening so suddenly. Even as I re-enter the classroom, I'm thinking about Hanako. My stomach feels like it's turning into knots while I think about how to deal with her. I still don't know what I'm going to say when I see her again. Thankfully, the class doesn't pay me much heed. There are a couple of questioning glances, but overall, not many people seem to be very aware of what happened. Mitao raises his eyebrows to get my attention when I pass by his desk. Nakai, I take it Ikuzawa is in the infirmary now? Yeah, I took her there, and the nurse said I should let her rest. Mitao nods, assuring me that I made the right call. He scratches his chin for a second before rising from his desk. Everyone, I want you to continue with the exercise. Nakai, I'll see you in the hallway, please. His speech is hushed, but overall he doesn't seem to be acting too differently from how he usually does. Being a teacher, maybe it's to be expected. As we go out into the hallway, I notice him taking a quick glance left and right to check if there are any students milling around. The hallway is nearly soundless, but I can't think of anything except waiting for Mitao to speak. Nakai, what do you think the purpose of this school is? To cater to the needs of disabled students? Mitao scratches his head as he shakes it. No. If we wanted to do that, we would have built a whole new school from scratch. 1 floor, talking whiteboards, that kind of thing. Look around, Nakai. This school is about giving you all a future that you would have been denied in regular education. Huh? Think of it this way. If we wanted you to graduate and go straight into a hospital, do you think we'd put in this much effort? The bluntness of Mitao's statement temporarily stuns me, causing me to forget about the immediate situation. No. That's right. We want you all to leave here as useful members of society. I'm not quite sure I'm following you. I have high hopes for you, Nakai. You are possibly the first student I've had that gets my lectures. That isn't something that a teacher should be admitting so freely. You could easily take your studies of science well into university. Have you ever considered that? Can't say I have. Well, what have you considered? For your future, that is. I can't say that I put much thought into my future. For a moment I'm distinctly reminded of Lily questioning me about the same subject. It's only been a little over 5 months since I was gasping for air on the ground. It's too soon to be thinking about the future, and besides, Hanako's problems seem much bigger to me right now. Mattel gives a disapproving sigh before continuing. Think of this place as an opportunity. Here you have boundless facilities, good teachers, plus the added bonus of the nurse and his staff. You should be doing nothing but thinking of the future. Right. As I raised my head to meet his gaze, a thought occurs to me. It's almost like Mattel totally sidestepped the issue at hand. Excuse me, but why do none of the staff seem to care when Hanako skips class? I've seen her walk out of class more than once. Shouldn't you at least say something? Well, Nakai, it's not really that simple. Every student here has special needs. If it weren't for that, then we wouldn't have a school here. For example, I wouldn't keep you in class if you were having trouble breathing, would I? But that's not... Mattel cuts me off before I can even think about finishing my sentence. Ikuzawa's case is very much like that, but instead of CPR or a pacemaker, what she needs is time and space. The faculty was made aware of this from the day she arrived here. Thus, whenever she feels the need to leave classes, we let her do so. And even though she isn't a star pupil, she seems to pass all of her exams, so it hasn't affected her ability to study. Isn't that enough? I open my mouth to protest, but I can't find a fault in his argument. While her condition does at first seem to be wholly physiological, its worst effects have been on her psyche. It still puts me off, though. Isn't he just passing on the responsibility for her problem? Surely she can't go like this for her entire life. I understand that you might not be used to this kind of thing yet. It's been a big change for you. That said, it's less than a year until graduation now. Maybe you won't have to get used to this school. If you keep your head down, I'm sure you will do well enough in your exams. I humbly nod, more to simply acknowledge that I'm listening than out of agreement. I felt like I was getting used to this school, but it feels like it's just been thrown back in my face. But what about Hanako? I hope that she will perform well enough to do what she wants to do. What that is, I don't know. Not all students leave school with an idea of what they want to do, unfortunately. He takes care to emphasize the last word, as if it wasn't quite clear enough already, and gives me a moment to mull his words over. Today's been a troublesome day for you, and I doubt you'll be able to concentrate much anyway, after all that's happened. So I'll allow you to take the rest of the day off. Your grades have been good in this class so far, which makes me think you won't have any trouble catching up on what we've been doing. He gives a small smile along with his praise, as if to make up for the seriousness of his lecturing before now. Go collect your things, and I'll see you tomorrow. Right, thank you. Tao's roundabout speech has left my thoughts scattered. I'm still not any closer to working out what I can do to help Hanako, if anything. My mind is all the more confused after what Mattel said. I'm also still bothered by the fact that Hanako was helped at least as much by Shizune, her enemy by proxy, as by myself, but I don't know whether that is just male bravado or genuine concern. While I collect Hanako's and my things from the class, I continue to try and sort out my feelings. I want to say that I understand her, and that I'm there for her, but while I might have been able to say that just yesterday, I can't say it now. I wish I could. I lay on my bed trying to collect my thoughts. After Hanako's panic attack, I found myself fundamentally reassessing the relationship we share and what I know about her. I had a hard enough time dealing with 4 months in a hospital. One look at her scars tells me that she was in one for a lot longer than I was. Be that as it may, I know next to nothing about her past. She has told me about the house fire, but only in the most basic way. But what of her family? I still haven't asked Lily about them. There hasn't been a good opportunity to bring it up. I don't know where she grew up, or what her old school was like, nor of her past friends, her wishes and ambitions. Not even her taste in music, food, and movies. All the little things that I knew about all of my old friends. Just what have I been doing for all this time I've been around with her and Lily? In the distance, I hear the bell signaling the end of classes. With any luck, Lily will soon realize that neither Hanako nor I are around and return to the dormitory. My mobile phone starts to ring, cutting my thinking short. It quite startles me. Alright, I'm going to take a break. This video has gone on long enough. Alright, we're gonna go here. Yes. There we go. Did you save? Yes, you saved. Anyways, that's going to do it for this video. I want to thank you for watching. Feel free to leave a comment. I hope you have yourself a good day. I love you. And this is Sweet Tooth, signing off.